Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my week one top 25 predictions. Now, I say top 25 predictions, but I only chose to include five specific games because a lot of the top 25, if I did every single team, would just be annihilations against really bad teams. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are just playing their random schools to open the year, and that's usual, but there are still some games, of course, some of which you see right here, that are actually interesting, and those are going to be the ones that I'm going to be covering today. So it's just like 4 or 5 games. But with that being said, a like, subscribe would help, a comment always helps. Let's get straight into this thing. So starting it off at 9 a.m., we've got number 14 Clemson at number 1 Georgia. And there's absolutely no question here. If Clemson goes into Georgia and wins this game, that would be one of the most insane upsets of all time, but it's just not going to happen. Clemson's going to get steamrolled in this game. I mean, sorry, you're opening up the year in Georgia. And to be quite frankly honest, Clemson, you're not supposed to be number 14. You're just getting put there because you always get put there. You're not supposed to be number 14. Georgia is supposed to be number 1. There was a lot of speculation that they weren't going to be number 1, but ESPN still thinks they are, and they should be. And this Georgia team is going to walk all over Clemson. The line for this game is honestly being nice at just 13.5 for Georgia, in favor of Georgia. That's being very, very generous. This Clemson team is going to get hit really, really hard at the start of the year by Georgia. It's not even going to be close. Now, if it was at Clemson, I'd be a little bit more nice to Clemson. But it's at Georgia. You're not opening the year winning that. There's no question there. However, we get into this game, Penn State at West Virginia, and if you watched either my Big 12 or Big 10 prediction video yet, you know what I'm picking in this. And I'm sorry, Penn State number 8, that seems like a really, really high ranking for a team that can never put it together in the Big 10. I didn't really like their quarterback last year. I didn't like what I saw from him. And West Virginia went as one of the most glossed over teams last year, even though they finished off 4 losses and were relatively good. Like this West Virginia team literally did not touch the top 25 once all season, even though they were a solid ass team. Nobody even knows what happened to them last year. They were just a forgotten team, even though they were good, and they only got better. And they're hosting a rival to start the year. I'm taking West Virginia close, but I'm taking West Virginia. Of course, at the start of the year, nobody wants to believe that Georgia Tech is going to beat Florida State, but that happens. Now, this one is going to be really pushing it for some people, but I think West Virginia is actually going to be a pretty solid team this year, and it starts with a Penn State upset right off the bat, right off the cushion. I don't think Penn State is going to be that good of a team. I feel like number 8 for Penn State is simply just because they're Penn State. Like, and other people would disagree, like, oh, the recruiting and stuff like that, and they have this and that. They have had that for so many years now, and they just cannot seem to be a top 10 caliber team. They always end up sitting around this spot at the end of the year, but now you're introducing more competition, especially in West Virginia, who is super underrated right now. I think Penn State loses this game. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry at all. Miami at Florida. This one is going to be tough because I've got actually Miami being a super, super solid team this year. But it all starts with this game in which they're only favored by 2.5 over a team that isn't even close to touching the top 25. I still think Miami's going to handle business at Florida, even though it's going to be a super tough game in the swamp to open up the year. 12:30 p.m. Tickets as low as $160 with, I guess, Vivid seats. Like, this is not going to be easy for Miami. However, I just think I just think Miami has put together a super, super solid team in the offseason, and they're going to be one of those teams that starts off kind of in the lower half of the rankings, and they're going to finish off in the higher half of the rankings. And I don't think Florida's going to have a good record at all this year just because of the difficulty of schedule they have. Like eight or nine ranked teams on your schedule is just diabolical. But this would probably be their closest matchup to winning this year. Would be against in the season opener against Florida because you've got a new team with a lot of momentum going into this game. But I think Miami is going to just prevail. I think they're going to prevail this Florida team. Notre Dame at Texas A&M, and for another upset, I've got Texas A&M winning this one by a decent bit. Tell me this, riddle me this. How is Notre Dame ranked preseason number 7 and Texas A&M is ranked preseason number 20? But Texas A&M is favored in this game. Wouldn't that mean Texas A&M is better than the number 7 team in the country? So why is Notre Dame number 7? Explain, please. Like, why are we putting them at number 7 if we don't even think they can beat the season opener against Texas A&M? That doesn't make any sense to me. But I have to agree with them. I don't think Notre Dame is that good of a football team. Texas A&M has clearly built some sort of football team behind their backs in this offseason. And Texas A&M actually has really, really strong potential this year. I haven't gotten around to making my SEC predictions video, but looking at their schedule, man, Texas A&M could be a one-loss team at the end of the year. Seriously, maybe like a 2-loss team. With the amount of home games they have against tough teams, they might be a top 20. They might be like a top 5 team. Seriously. Even though, it's Texas A&M and you can never count on them to be that team, to be as highly ranked as they are. They can never finish off what they're supposed to be. They're starting off at a reasonable number 20 this year. I actually do have faith in this team this year, and they've got it. They've got the schedule to do it. I've got Texas A&M starting off the year with a win against Notre Dame, and by like a decent margin. I don't think Notre Dame is going to be as good as people are giving them hope for. I just don't think Notre Dame is that good of a football team. And I think a lot of people agree. Well, like I say, I don't think they're that good of a football team, but they're still top 25 worthy. They're just not number 7, That's a lot, man. That's a really, really high ranking for Notre Dame this year. And finally, you've got number 23 versus number 13 LSU. This game's being played in Las Vegas, so there's no home field. Doesn't matter. A team in LSU that was completely offensive-sided against a team in USC that was completely offensive-sided. Now, these teams have both changed a lot since then, but it's not going to change for much on either ends, especially USC. Now, I think LSU got a new defensive coordinator who's actually really, really solid, but USC is not going to change. And I think it's going to lead to a highly offensive game. However, I don't think USC is going to score as many points as they like, even though 34 is still 34. They're going to get outpaced by LSU's offense, and LSU's defense is going to make it really difficult against such a high-caliber offense like USC. They're going to make it difficult, and they're going to start off by beating USC in a neutral site. I don't think there's any shocker there. Now, this one of the games that I chose the favorites in. This game of the games that I chose the favorites in, if that makes any sense, I would say this one has the most likely chance of being an upset. Even over Miami against Florida, even over, of course, over Clemson versus Georgia. USC could have such a strong offense that they just completely outscore LSU. That sounds super unlikely, but, we're putting a lot of faith into LSU, saying that their defense is just because of an offseason and a new hire and some new players, that LSU's defense is going to be a normal defense. What's stopping them from having as bad of a defense that they had last year? And also, we're putting a lot of faith into the LSU quarterback this year. at least, like the USC quarterbacks showed massive potential against Louisville in their bowl game. When this quarterback came in to sub in for Jaden Daniels, I mean, it wasn't really anything special. But I'm going to give him the faith. I'm going to give him, if he's taking the starting spot at LSU, I think we can give him some real faith. And I'm going to say LSU wins this game. I don't know what the line is for this game. It's only LSU 4.5. So see, like even the line, it's like still sketchy. But that's the last game I'm covering in this week 1 top 25 predictions video. There is a lot more games the week after this one. There's a lot more top 25 matchups that are actually like, what worth like covering. Like we've got Texas versus Michigan. It's not showing me the top 25, of course, because ESPN is always glitching out. It's always doing some dumb shit. But you have that Texas versus Michigan game. Even Kansas at Illinois, I would cover. Tennessee at NC State. Colorado versus Nebraska, I might even cover. There's a lot more games. I guess there's actually not that many in week 2, but there's actually arguably less in week 2. So I don't know when the games pick up. Like it feels like last year we had so many games, but these first 3 weeks are probably going to take a bit. Week 3, it picks up a little with Arizona at Kansas State, Alabama at Wisconsin, LSU at South Carolina is worth covering. Even Oregon at Oregon State's worth covering. Notre Dame at Purdue, Texas A&M at Florida. All right, so week 3, we've got some more matchups. Georgia at Kentucky. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully week 4. Okay, we've got Utah. Okay, week 4 is when football really looks like it kicks off. Okay, yeah. Week 4 is the big week. That's all the way on September 21st. But still, we've got some pretty good matchups. We got some pretty fun matchups this week. I guess we still get a lot this week that are spread out over times. Sometimes it's better to just have 5 good games than a whole 20 because, you can only watch so many games at a time. But that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your predictions for this week 1. Let me know if you have any hot takes. A like and subscribe would help. A comment always helps, and that's all for me. Adios.